Hello, we're here in Switzerland for the Swiss Grand Prix at Bremgarten, and we have a good situation now because, Luigi Villoresi is having to hold off Mike Hawthorn, who is going to start second. Villoresi down in 13th. Swatter and Farina also coming into the picture. So this looks like it could be a very, very good race indeed. Farina then on pole. Then it's Mike Hawthorn. Jacques Swatter, he is starting third. Let's see how this goes today. Farina would love a second win, but Hawthorn, he is surely going to be looking quick. And there we go. Away go the Ferraris. And Hawthorn in the middle, and he's starting to get a little bit slidey between the two of them. And Jacques Swatter chops across Farina into the lead. So Jacques Swatter at the moment leading the Swiss Grand Prix, and that's one of the Gordinis off already, and I think more are following, and the chaos generally tends to move on. Maserati's Villoresi cuts his way through that. Very, very lucky not to have his car written off. Villoresi, great start, up from 13th to 6th place. He might be able to compete for points today. Rosier up into 8th as well, and Ascari has made his way up in the 3rd. Well, what's happened to Hawthorn? Where is Mike Hawthorn? He's disappeared. We haven't seen it. There is for Mike Hawthorn's car. He must have gone up on the banking, and that's where he's ended up. We didn't see what happened. Well, that could be Hawthorn's championship over, depending on what happens. I mean, if Villoresi was to somehow get himself onto the podium, he's in 5th at the moment. That would count Mike Hawthorn completely out of this World Championship. There goes hard pushing Farina, and he's pushed too hard. And Ascari, trying to avoid him, has gone off as well. Ascari looked like he was finally getting his season together, but that is another retirement for Albertoascari. And Luigi Villoresi up to 4th in the most unlikely of circumstances. It looks like control of the World Championship is coming back Luigi Villoresi's way. But having said that, if Jacques Swatter wins this Grand Prix, he'll be up onto 29 points. And so Villoresi would only just have the advantage by a couple of points, but it would be enough to make it more difficult for the likes of Hawthorn and Rosier to catch up. And Farina too, because if Farina finishes second, he'll only go on to 23 points. But Rosier is in 5th, I believe. So Rosier is on currently for a couple of points himself. But we are still in the earliest stages of the Grand Prix. I'll tell you one thing though, Jacques Swatter, we've said all season that his strength has been consistency, and I gave the impression that he was lucky to win Silverstone because he didn't have the outright pace of his teammates, and his consistency gave him the best grid slot out of the Ferraris, which enabled him to pass those Maseratis. Well, here Jacques Swatter does have comparable pace. He has not got Farina giving him a particularly hard time, and Jacques Swatter is looking really good, and Villoresi getting very loose as he tries to catch and pass Harryschell to get himself onto that podium, which would just put him in a bit stronger standing in the World Championship. Villoresi needs to do it because, you know, he needs to do as well as possible. Farina is now starting to close in on Jacques Swatter a bit, so will Swatter keep his cool and his composure? He is very good at that normally, so it'll be interesting to see if he can do the same again here. But Farina is keeping him in sight. Farina would love 2 wins in a row, and that would keep him in World Championship touch, although a bit wide there from Farina. He's held it together and really close to Swatter now. In fact, Farina's struggling because he's losing grips. He's got nowhere to go because he's so much quicker than Jacques Swatter all of a sudden. I started to praise Jacques Swatter's pace, but it is now very much wearing out as Giuseppe Farina aims to apply pressure, and Villoresi coming for a look at Harryschell and hasn't quite made it through. But Luigi Villoresi clearly very keen. I think he feels to be getting the 3rd if with enough time, and that's the spinner. That's Farina. Well, back to tradition, I'm afraid, and Villoresi has as well. Well, I wonder if he just tried too hard to pass that Gordini, perhaps distracted by Farina going off as well. Will he get back on track before Rosier comes along? Because this could pull Rosier back in the championship a bit. He doesn't, and Rosier is up in a 4th place, and Villoresi just about regaining ahead of, well, is he ahead of Farina? I think he might be. De Graffenried there in 7th place. Galvez in 8th, so the Maseratis once again a long way off. The furthest off we've seen them be for quite a while actually. It's back to the bad old days at the start of the season, where they're just in a completely different race, different formula to the front runners, who are still led by Jacques Swatter, with Harryschell now up in the 2nd place following Farina's spin-off. So Gordini working their way back to relevance, and well, that'd be interesting in the title decider at Monza if Gordini win the race and leave Ferrari to sort it out amongst themselves. But Schell if he ends up finishing second and starting second in that race, he could be in a good position. Well, Villoresi, despite having spun away his position, he is still in fourth, and he'll be aiming another little bit of a moment there, but does hold it together. He will aim to repass Louis Rosier. Jacqueswaters has come from nowhere, and he is a threat, but I think Villoresi will just have to deal with him in Monza. As long as he can get as many points as possible and hold that title lead going into the Monza Grand Prix, he will have the advantageous position. But Jacqueswaters is looking in total control of this race, especially now Farina has made a mistake and gone off. And once again, even when Swaters didn't have the pace, and he has had the pace at times in this race, but even when he didn't, it was Farina who cracked first, Farina who went off. Villoresi now right on the tail of Louis Rosier, determined to strike back and prove that he is the Ferrari guy who is still the quickest in that team. But Jacqueswaters is now crossing the line to start his final lap of the Grand Prix. Harryschell 2.1 seconds behind. That gap has eased out. It's comfortable. Not so comfortable for Louis Rosier in the number 2 Ferrari. Got Villoresi in the number 4 Ferrari, the world champion, behind him. And Villoresi will be looking to try and make that move. Another point would be so handy for him, wouldn't it? And especially against Rosier, who's been one of his rivals throughout the season. But Villoresi is having the same issue as Farina had before, in that he's behind a slower car and he's just losing so much grip through that section of the circuit, and it's really not helping him. Rosier and Villoresi both a little bit loose there, but they are doing their best to keep it going as well as they possibly can. So Swaters, Schell, Rosier, Villoresi, Farina, Trintignant. We haven't seen one boring race this season, and again we are getting it here that it is not boring. It's a bit more standard, I'd say, than previous races recently, but it's certainly not boring. We're having a whole season of good races, and Villoresi is off again, and this one he's going to find it harder to recover from. This is going to cost him points at the very least, and Villoresi, he rejoins in 6th place out of the points, and he's lost a significant amount of time. I don't even think he's going to catch Trintignant from there, because Villoresi is so far back now. Yeah, well, that is going to put Jacqueswaters unbelievably in the championship lead heading into Monza, unless Villoresi can somehow get a points finish back. But look at the gap now. He is significantly behind Maurice Trintignant. Had there been a couple of laps to go, you'd say maybe he could close it down, but with 1 lap to go, it really isn't looking very likely. And Villoresi is actually running last. We only have 6 runners left in this Grand Prix. So Swaters leading Schell, Rosier still in 3rd, Farina 4th, Trintignant 5th, and Villoresi running in 6th at the moment. And really, well, Villoresi, I'm afraid, for all the praise we heaped on him in the first part of the season, he really is becoming the architect of his own undoing in the second half. I mean, at least he knows he'll still start 6th in Monza, but he's going to be at a massive disadvantage to Jacqueswaters, who is about to come through and take the victory and the championship lead. The first time Villoresi hasn't led the championship all season. Swaters is going to take the victory and take the championship lead into the Italian Grand Prix for the final race of the season. Harryschell, he finishes in 2nd place. And we're waiting for Rosier. There we go. Rosier crosses the line 3rd. Farina 4th. Trintignant 5th. And that confirms that Villoresi knocked out of the points. At least he's finished this Grand Prix in 6th place. No points for that. So Villoresi is going to have to wait a while, I'm afraid, before, well, Monza is going to be crucial, because he's now behind Swaters in the championship by 1 point, but he's also 5 positions behind him on the starting grid in the final race. Well, it might be similar to last year where he had to come through, except that Swaters is ahead of him in the championship. I don't believe Piero Taruffi was. So Swaters wins the Grand Prix for Ferrari today. Harryschell 2nd, Louis Rosier 3rd. That actually keeps him in things just about. Giuseppe Farina 4th. He is definitely not going to be challenging in Monza, not for the championship anyway. Maurice Trintignant 5th, and Luigi Villoresi out of the points in 6th place. So the Drivers' Championship, Jacqueswaters 29, Luigi Villoresi 28, Mike Hawthorn 24, still in the championship himself, and Louis Rosier. Those two would need at least 2nd place in Monza to have a chance of taking the title. So Hawthorn is going to be starting a long way back. Everyone else is out of the championship battle now, I'm afraid to say. Farina heading the best of the rest up, and Schell and Trintignant then. Constructors, Ferrari 127, simcagordini 34. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Take care.